received as well a grant to set up an organized retail crime unit that I think will be very helpful in our city and our county.
Thank you. I'm going to first, before we get to the organized retail theft part of the conversation, I'm going to talk about Proposition 36, and then I'm going to invite Adrian McMillan, who is our prosecutor in an organized retail theft unit, and our investigator Brian to come up. But I want to cover Prop 36, but before I do that, I do want to thank Aaron and Joan for inviting us to come and speak at the event. I do want to recognize, I know that the Sacramento Police Department, they do an amazing job on the front lines, and I've worked with many of these officers, including Lieutenant Eaton as well, and Bullard, in many different areas. And I know that our council member, Rick Jennings, is a huge supporter of public safety. He's brought resources to the community, and in fact, he is part of a coalition there on the council that have repeatedly advocated for what I call compassionate enforcement and accountability when it comes to public safety and the in-house crisis. So, as many of you know, Proposition 36 recently passed at a rate of about 70%. That is a message that is being sent across the state of California to elected officials. I know that Karen and Chris and other people were instrumental in getting that on the ballot. And once it got on the ballot, I was part of a coalition with Mayor Bobby Singh Allen from Elk Grove and Mayor Matt Mahan from San Jose. We raised several $1 million and spent all that money in order to help get it across the finish line when the opposition came in. And I want to sort of explain and lay the groundwork of what exactly is Proposition 36 and how are we going to implement it. So Proposition 36 has three basic elements. The first element deals with retail theft. The second element deals with drug possession, drug abuse, and the third deals with fentanyl. In regards to fentanyl, what it does is it increases the penalties in regards to sale and possession of fentanyl and transportation of fentanyl, especially when you have possession of it along with a gun. And those who sell fentanyl so that we can go after them for murder. I will tell you that last year in Sacramento County, we had over 400 people die from fentanyl poisoning. 400 people, that's more than one a day. That's more than all the gun-related homicides that we've had in the entire county, gun-related, in the last 10 years. So that number is simply staggering, and that number is consistent for 2 different years. And when I took over at the DA's office, we had never previously prosecuted anybody for selling fentanyl that killed somebody. Since then, we have prosecuted 7 such people for murder. We have also now 6 additional people that are in the pipeline to be prosecuted for murder. We're waiting for the toxicology results. So we are enforcing that, and Proposition 36 will give us the tools in that. Now, in regards to retail theft, I know this is a big area, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but in regards to, for example, drug possession, the way it works is this. If you have 2 prior drug convictions, whether it's for transportation, sales, or possession of hardcore drugs, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, crack cocaine, fentanyl, not marijuana, but these other hardcore drugs. If you have 2 prior convictions, that 3rd conviction allows us to prosecute you for a felony. We call it a treatment-mandated felony, which means that you come in, you get arrested, you get taken in, and a judge within 24 hours has to evaluate your custodial status. And then we offer you treatment in drug court, in different collaborative courts, veterans court. And if you accept that and you complete the program, we will go ahead and dismiss the case. However, if you refuse treatment, then you will have to do that time in jail or in prison. Because on the 4th occasion, on the 4th charge, you can go to state prison. And the purpose of this is not to go back to the war on drugs and to incarcerate black and brown people, to decimate communities, but to get people the treatment that they need and to have the leverage. After the passage of Prop 47 in 2014, drug court participation in Sacramento County dropped by 70% and over 50% across the state of California. In 2015, we had 179 people in drug court, and it was successful. Right now, before Proposition 36 goes into effect, we have 29 people. That's how much it's dropped by. Now, what our goal is to get people back into the drug court, which was a successful program. And then with that is to try to get our unhoused off the streets and get the encouragement there. And on the retail theft side, what we are trying to do with that, and Proposition 36 does this, if you have 2 prior convictions, and it doesn't give a time frame, if you have 2 prior convictions for theft, it could be auto burg, it could be residential burg, it could be petty theft. On the 3rd occasion, we can charge a felony. And then on the 4th occasion, it's a felony where you can go to state prison. So right now, what are we doing? I have designated a point person in my office to implement Proposition 36. Proposition 36 will become effective no later than December the 18th, after the election is certified, December the 18th. And so in the process, what we are doing now is we have a liaison in my office that is connecting with SPD, with the Sheriff's Department, with Elk Grove, with Folsom, Rancho, Citrus Heights. And the purpose of this is to contact and liaison so that we are setting up a training program to train our officers on the intricacies of Proposition 36. In the old days when I was a young prosecutor, the officers would have to look up a rap sheet and find out in terms of if a person has prior convictions for theft. But now they'll have to do that again. They'll also have to put in, for example, a note in the police report to tell the jail and to tell the judge, because within 24 hours, that individual has to be seen or evaluated by a judge whether they stay in custody or get released. So these are some of the intricacies of Proposition 36 that we need to provide additional training to our officers. Additionally, what we are also doing is having a point of contact with the other district attorneys in the region so that we can make sure that we are consistent in what we are doing. Because I will say this, as somebody who raised millions of dollars and really, promoted the passage of it, I know that there are those people on the other side that are going to come, particularly after myself and other DAs that were very publicly vocal. And what they want to do is they want to find that case where we are prosecuting somebody for a felony and trying to send them to state prison for stealing a slice of pizza, right? And that's not what we're after. My goal is not to send somebody to prison for stealing a slice of pizza, or a mother who is stealing diapers, or a baby formula. That is not the goal. So we are setting parameters to make sure that we don't do that. Our goal is to go after the individuals that are repeatedly stealing, whether it's those drills at Home Depot, whether it's the auto parts at Cragen or O'Reilly, whether it's Target, whether it's Walgreens, and driving them out of business. Our goal is to go after those individuals, not individuals that are buying, or stealing for individual sustenance right there and then. We will also utilize the drug component of Proposition 36 to get people to the treatment that they need. And with that, we have community prosecutors across the county, and the purpose of that is to use that in order to get people into the treatment that they need. I know that the city manager, Howard Chan, has been a huge proponent of what I call compassionate enforcement. But along this process that we have here, I was contacted by Aaron Zeff, who I think just started coming into the Broadway area. And Aaron had asked me in regards to what can we do about retail theft. And so what we have done for some of the bigger businesses and smaller businesses in South Sacramento, I said to Aaron, this is what we can do. We can do what I call a top 10 program and organize retail theft. So with that, I want to bring up here both Brian and Adrian. So Adrian is a top-notch prosecutor in our office. She is our organized retail theft prosecutor, and Brian's our investigator. And they will sort of explain a little bit of what the Organized Retail Theft Unit, ORT, does, and then in regards to the top 10 program that we have created here in Sacramento.
Thank you. I was not expecting to not have my voice, and I was going to get it back today. It's not back yet, so I'm happy for the mic. So I am the vertical prosecutor for our Organized Retail Theft Unit. We got grant money that our DA knew that our office and our community needed to get a unit together that focused solely on organized retail crime. And these are the individuals who are working in groups and taking thousands of dollars from retailers for personal gain. They're taking this property for the purpose of selling it. They're taking this to situations, they're utilizing younger individuals with no records or people who have drug problems to go into these stores on their behalf to take merchandise and sell it and get profit for it. So these are the people that we're hyper-focusing on in our unit. And the thing that Brian and I have been working on the most is making sure that we have a relationship with our local law enforcement as well as just the various retailers that we encounter in our county so that we can streamline our communication so it makes it easier for us to work together to prosecute these cases effectively and more expedient. And so one of the things that we have done is with various stores, we've asked them to put together who are your top 10 offenders, who are the people that you have coming back repeatedly, who are impacting your store the most, what is the loss that they're contributing to your store, what is the loss that they're contributing to the overall area. We worked with How About Arden recently on this and got one of their top 10 problematic offenders. He wasn't necessarily an organized retail theft guy, but he was definitely a repeat theft offender who ran his own show, was impacting multiple different businesses within the How About Arden area, and we were able to get a 4-year county jail prison sentence for him so that he could stay off the street, out of their community for a little bit of time, and then we have a hammer over him so that if he goes anywhere in the How About Arden corridor area, it counts as a violation of supervision for him, and he can go back into custody. So we want to be able to know who these people are, know kind of where their stomping grounds are, so we can do stay-away orders, so we can figure out what sort of restitution is owed to these stores. And so we put together these investigations in a way that we can show them we see you. We're not going to let up. We're going to aggregate all your charges. We're going to aggregate all these incidences. We're talking to other counties. We're talking to other DAs. We're talking to other investigators. We've put together a few different cases that jump jurisdictions, and it matters to these people. They see it, and they're like, okay. And so that's kind of the gist of what we're doing. I'll let Brian talk a little bit.
I don't have anything to say, but yeah. So the main thing I do is I try to help the police departments and the retailers connect the dots, because a lot of these offenders don't just commit crimes in one jurisdiction, and each jurisdiction doesn't know about the other crime, where some of the retailers in some jurisdictions, they only do internal reports, but they don't report to the police department because they think nothing's going to happen. And with obviously the new laws being able to aggregate things together, when you have 5 individual crimes of $500, you think, okay, that's not a big deal, it's not a felony, nothing's going to get done. But now we start connecting those crimes together, and we charge them with a felony because we group all those crimes together. And you know, some retailers have better video surveillance than others, so we think, hey, maybe it's this guy. But then you realize another retailer has really good cameras, and you go, oh, this is, you know, John Smith wearing the exact same clothing it was in the other store. So you're able to identify and solve a lot more crimes by connecting those dots and having all the retailers and the police work together.
And one of the things I want to urge for the retailers that are in the room is to just make sure your staff, they don't get discouraged. I know in talking to a lot of the retailers over the last year that I've been in the unit, I often hear that people don't want to report because they feel like it's not going to get prosecuted, or they feel like it's not a big deal, but it is. These people are running rampant because they can. And now that we have the tools in place to put a stop to it, it means the most to us that you guys do your best to just be good witnesses. Make sure that you're just taking note of identifying features of these individuals. What are they taking? How much are they taking? Make sure you're sharing this with your local law enforcement so that we have the most information that we need to prosecute the case. And I started at the DA's office the year after Prop 47, so I was able to see in the misdemeanor unit just how crazy theft got shortly after the passage of that particular proposition. And then I was able to go to felonies and see how much history somebody had of petty theft before they got to the serious, higher dollar amounts. And then I went to career criminal, where your first degree burglaries, robbery series, and you're able to see this history that they've been committing theft for a long period of time, and they have not been being held accountable. And that is why it was an overwhelming majority voting for Prop 36, because our community is tired and they want us to be able to have the tools to do something about it.
So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to go to each of the PBIDs in each of the areas to do training in regards to what exactly is Proposition 36, have a checklist. But as Adrienne talked about, and this is why she's a rising star in the office in terms of her explanation of the evolution of Prop 47 and Prop 36, this is what we need you to do. We need you to report the crime. If you don't report the crime, it's as if it didn't happen. If you see it, if you hear it, report it. Because once you report it, then it's in the system and it can get investigated. For some reason, if those cases aren't getting connected together, and this is the great part that we're working with Aaron Zeff and Elite One, is he'll see those patterns and then he'll work with those businesses and he'll contact Adrienne, he'll contact our office, and so or law enforcement, and then we'll work together to identify those individuals so we can take those prolific offenders out of the system. And the ones that need help because it's a substance abuse or mental health issue, we will help them. We will give them that opportunity if they accept it. But now we will have the leverage to do so. But we need you. If you see it, if you hear it, you got to report it. Any questions?